Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Bucks losing again, dropped to 1-4 under Doc Rivers, 114-106 to the Phoenix Suns on the road. Again, 1-4. Doc Rivers also 1-4 on this road trip. Come on in the room. Doc is our doctor. He writes out all of our scriptures. He gives us all of our medicine in our room. 114-106. Bucks losing. We are live. Late night at the Cream City Crossovers. The Guru, Trey Crosby the third.
Chris King.
Yeah. We in here 2/3 of the 3 Live crew. No JT. It got to be a little bedtime for John Tyus, but that's all right. He'll be back at it with this. Pretty sure at the next game. But a 114-106. They play Thursday against Minnesota. A 114-106 loss to the Phoenix Suns. Bucks, I thought, played admirably despite the circumstances. If you want to get at me, at TCIIIESQ on the Twitter. And also, you get at me in the comments here and in the comments on YouTube. We're going to try to be short. We're going to try to be brief tonight. Bucks after dark. 114-106. Do want to get into some trade deadline stuff since that's coming up. And again, let's be very clear. This is the last iteration, 1-4 on this road trip. What the Bucks have looked like since post Adrian Griffin. The Bucks are now in third place. They are 5-5 in their last 10. They're now 12-13 on the road, so they're under 500. So by just looking at the metrics of what the Bucks have done, it has, from a standpoint of win-loss records, it has not been good since Adrian Griffin has been terminated, and this is the last iteration of this Bucks team that you will see before pre-trade deadline. There will be trades to get made. February 8th is that date. It's also the date of the next Bucks game, but the deadline, I believe, is at 3 o'clock Eastern, right? Is that right? I think it's 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern, something like that. So that's what's going to happen at that point. But a 114-106 loss to the Phoenix Suns. The Bucks were shorthanded. And let's do it. Let's do the game recap. Get you involved here. The game recap brought to you, as always, by the law office of Daily M. Johnson. When you need defense off the court, baby. Yeah, there we go. A little defense off the court. Call my guy Daily M. Johnson. He will get you right with criminal defense, trafficking, OWI defense, TROs, and injunctions. The law office Daily M. Johnson will help you out. Will get you in the right direction. 608-893-8370. Give him a call. He's serving Central and South Central Wisconsin. Go to his website, www.dmjlaw.com. Sign up there for a free phone or in-person consultation. That's the law office of Daily M. Johnson, sponsoring, as always, our game recap. And our game recap goes like this. Giannis Antetokounmpo, to me, was the best player on the floor tonight. He was the best player on the floor tonight. And that should give you hope. That every single night, man, you have to give it up to. It doesn't matter if Dame's playing well, if Dame's playing bad, if Dame's on the floor, if Dame's not on the floor, if Khris Middleton's playing, if Khris Middleton's sitting because it's back-to-back, if Khris Middleton rolls his ankle in the first 5 minutes of the game. It does not matter what's going on around him. The one constant, the one thing you can guarantee on, the one thing you can put your guarantees upon, hold your hat on, stand by that product. You ever see American Gangster? You ever seen American Gangster? Chris King, Denzel Washington. He had that blue magic. And when you had that blue magic, it's late night. We're gonna go into when you had that blue magic. You talk about that product that you can stand by. You can stand. You guarantee it. I guarantee you every night, Giannis is going to put up his numbers. He gives you 34, 10, and 6, 13 for 24 from the field. He was 7 of 13 from the free throw line, but he was a +1 tonight. So a good job from Giannis in 39 minutes of action. Khris Middleton turned his ankle. Kevin Durant got up underneath him first 8 minutes of the ball game. There was a flagrant one called. Khris turned his ankle. And then hopefully he's not out for too long. I think it's probably gonna be some type of light sprain. You never know with Khris, but he tried to play on it, and I mean he played on it for a couple minutes after, and it was just funny because Khris always he's always a slow kind of player anyway. He plays just very lethargic and slow, and I mean it was like he was even going in slow motion. So to see him do that, you could tell he was really hurting. Then he went out of the game, did not return after that. Robin Lopez played 18 minutes tonight, doing God knows what, 6 points for him. Pat Connaughton, hopefully the last time we'll ever see him in a Bucks uniform. He put up 12, 6, and 6 by the grace of God. 32 minutes for him. He's 4 for 6 from the field. But he's just out there just running around, man. Like he just does a lot of just running. Again, does put up 12 points, did hit some shots. Malik Beasley, 22 points. He was 7 of 17 from the field, 22, 4, and 2 for him. I thought Malik Beasley did it about a decent job as you could do given the circumstances. Guys out, no Brook Lopez tonight. Brook Lopez still celebrating or still getting into the birth of his. I believe he's having a son. Yeah, but Jay Crowder, 39 minutes for him. 10 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals. He was 4 for 9 from the field, 0 4 from 3. He just looks a step slow to me. I mean, again, he's still trying to maybe fight back from that injury, but he just looks a step slow. And Bobby Portis, in what might be his last game as a Milwaukee Buck, does get 4 steals, puts up 5 points and 9 boards, 2 for 9 from the field in 31 minutes. AJ Green could not get on the board and score. I thought Cam Payne had a really nice night in 22 minutes, 11 points, 4 boards. Look what Phoenix did on the other side of things. Kevin Durant was locked up for most of the night by Giannis. I mean, Giannis did an excellent job on him. Giannis did pick up 5 fouls, but really, that's when Kevin Durant broke loose, was in the fourth quarter, where because of the foul trouble, Giannis had to get off of KD, and that's when KD really, lit the Bucks up. Was once that took place, he finishes 28 and 10, did it on 21 shots. So again, he rounds himself out into a nice night because of the fourth quarter. But outside of that, Kevin Durant really had a hard time. He struggled against Giannis. Yusuf Nurkic, 10 points, 10 boards, so a double-double for him. Bradley Beal gets a double-double with 25 and 10, and Devin Booker puts up 32 on a night for him. Grayson Allen, 8 points. The Phoenix bench was kind of useless. 3 points from Eric Gordon, 2 points from Drew Eubanks, and Bol 4 points, 6 rebounds. Crowd kind of lit up every time he got in the game, but he just he didn't seem to have a ton of impact. Again, it was really the starting group from Phoenix, and I'll tell you, 114 holding that Phoenix team to 114 points, shorthanded. Again, no Brook Lopez. Khris Middleton out in the first 6 minutes of the game, 7 minutes of the game. And then your third piece about it, no Damian Lillard, who was a late scratch with an ankle injury. The Bucks at halftime of this basketball game, the Bucks, I believe, were up 49-48. So again, they played a really tough first 24 minutes of basketball, but it was just hard to sustain that in the second half. They did end up giving up 66 points in the second half and just couldn't hold on and stay in front of the Phoenix Suns, who were basically at full strength. So they do lose at 114-106. Just quick thoughts on I guess the other things that I saw. For Phoenix, I think they get a lot of. It's interesting to me because they find a way to generate a lot of fouls. Like they took the same amount of free throws as the Bucks. Let's see, the Phoenix Suns took 27 free throws. The Bucks took 25, and Phoenix's 27. I mean, half of them came on jump shots. Like they somehow are able to get to the line. I don't really understand how they're able to do it. They're able to get to the line off jump shots, which is crazy to me. And it seemed like the Bucks were struggling to get to the line while they drive to the basket. Giannis is getting hacked, the whole nine, and somehow they're able to go to there. The Phoenix was able to get to the line, just shooting jumpers and getting touched. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Not why the Bucks lost. Phoenix just had a little more. I thought the only other thing that was interesting, and then we'll talk about Doc Rivers in a second, but how on a night like this where, and we said this the other game, where on a back-to-back against Utah, but on a night like this tonight, a night with no Brook Lopez, basically no Middleton, no Damian Lillard. How does Andre Jackson Jr. not get into the basketball game? How does Marjon Beauchamp not get into the basketball game in a game where you're getting torched by Devin Booker? You're getting torched at the end there by Kevin Durant. I mean, to not even see the floor, I have no idea what Doc Rivers is looking at. Again, I'll say this, and I know he's 1-4, and I'm not holding that against him. I know he's obviously new to the team and new to evaluating the roster, but it just seems odd that he hasn't seen, or the coaches haven't seen, that have been there in the past. No, nobody said, hey, maybe we should look at these guys. So, and again, Robin Lopez is getting 20 minutes. I just that part of the thing, I really don't understand what the Bucks are doing here. As far as rotations go, I will say I appreciate the effort tonight. I thought the
Mhm.
guys played extremely hard. I thought they did everything they could do in a game like this where you're clearly undermanned, you're clearly shorthanded. I thought they played it about as good as you could play, as good as you could expect them to play. But I just wonder if there had been a flurry. I'm not going to count Khris Middleton, but if you could have had a flurry for maybe a Pat Connaughton or Jay Crowder, or we talked about Bobby Portis. Here's the whole thing on the trade Bobby Portis. We'll get into it on a night like tonight, where guys are out, where you have an opportunity, you play 30 minutes and you put up 5 points. Like this was the night if you were gonna take those shots and be a guy that's gonna, I don't want to say ball hog, but get into a rhythm and really impact the game. Tonight was the night to do that, and Bobby Portis was a no-show on the offensive end of things. So again, 114, 106. That's what I saw. Chris, what'd you see?
Well, certainly proud of the effort that they showed. I mean, they fought hard even till the end, even when they were trailing by double digits. So I thought that was good out of them. But you definitely see the fatigue that they dealt with at the end, and guys were just making dumb decisions and missing free throws. And Pat went 1 of 2, Giannis went 1 of 2 at the end. That could have maybe cut into the deficit a little more. I thought Campaign did give good minutes, but at the end he started to get a little shot happy and kept chucking, and that's kind of what Campaign does. So obviously don't want to see that, and that's probably why they were able to kind of pull away there. Yeah, it's just tough. It's just tough to really evaluate when you've got guys out like that. When you have Khris Middleton leave early, when you have Damian Lillard out of the game. But for them to at least keep it close, and I'll say this too, and you kind of touched on it, holding this Suns team to 114, it speaks volumes to what the Bucks can bring every night. It's just they're not doing it. And so I hope in the future, once they get their full team together and they make whatever move they want to make, I hope that is the standard, that kind of defensive effort, because that is a really well-rounded scoring Phoenix team, no matter what their bench does. I mean, you have 4 guys that can give you 30+. So I would be proud of that effort, but other than that, yeah, I think a lot of the fatigue just got to the Bucks towards the end.
Yeah, and I get the Phoenix. To their credit, they've won some basketball games. They've played a little bit better, as of their last 15 or so games. But it seemed like they were in a struggle tonight. And it's one of those things where you hear the trade rumors for them, where they're looking to get a Miles Bridges out of Charlotte, and that's somebody that could definitely help that basketball team. Let's read some of your comments here. King of Kings says, "Keep telling y'all, time to get younger next to Giannis." Again, that's true, but it doesn't matter when you talk about getting younger when you don't play the young guys that you have. So that's that. There's a question there. Trent Comp says, "Not looking too much into tonight's loss, but what's y'all's panic meter at with this team?" So let's stay there, Chris. Trent's asking, and it says, "Not too much to get into tonight's loss. What's the panic meter?" I agree. Tonight again. I was more frustrated on this road trip. 2 losses got me frustrated. Utah got me frustrated, and Portland got me frustrated. Um, the panic meter to me, because you've made a full reset, right? My panic level is at a 3. That's my scale. I'm at a 3 because I know that this team is going through a reset. I know that on February the 8th, everything is going to change. I will really start to again, and we talked about this before. The evaluations will really pick up and ratchet up on this basketball team post deadline, post All Star break. So you really have a couple more weeks, right? So I think the All Star break is, Super Bowl's coming this week, and then the All Star break is next week over the week of the 15th, over the Valentine's weekend, 15, 16, 17. After that week comes, that the week of the 18th, 19th, and moving forward, that's when I'm going to start really evaluating what does this team look like. How do they play? How do they execute down the stretch? I will start. And you thought we've talked negatively about Damian Lillard, I will start to talk negatively about Damian Lillard once we get to that piece. And again, Doc Rivers now had control of the team for 5 games. I'm gonna give you another week of action. You got the Hornets that you're gonna get to play. I know that again it's a tough schedule for the Bucks that they have coming up. Let me see their schedule. I just want to look at it really quickly. So you got the Timberwolves that you're gonna get to play on Thursday. Whew, tough because you got the Hornets who are trash, but then you got Nuggets, Heat, Grizzlies, Wolves against Grizzlies, Wolves, Sixers who are real. So here's where Doc Rivers is going to have a chance to really get into some things right here. So so next week, right? They're going to get to play the Nuggets, tough, but they're going to be at home. You're gonna get the Heat at home. Who the Heat? You gotta be able to beat the Miami Heat. They're just not. They're not a title contender. See if they do at the deadline. But then you're gonna get the Grizzlies who are reeling. Timberwolves are good. 76ers won't have Embiid. You gotta beat the 76ers on the road. Then you're gonna get the Hornets twice. Then you're gonna get the Bulls. So going into the end. So just think about this week here when you're going late February, mid February into March. From the 13th on, you're gonna get Heat, Grizzlies, it's 2 games you should win. Timberwolves, tough. 76ers, no Embiid. You should beat them. Hornets, 2 times in a row. You should beat the hell out of them. You get the Bulls on March 1st. That is a very favorable schedule from the 13th to the beginning of March. You should run through from March 13th from February 13th to March 1st. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. You should go 6-1. You should go 6-1 through that stretch. I'll give you one loss. That's the type of efficiency this team's got to be playing on once we get into those later February, early March type of games. So to answer your question, panic meter right now at a 3. If we still see struggle moving on in that stretch of 6-7 games, it will ratchet up and we'll start talking about whether it was the correct move to move on from Adrian Griffin in the middle of the season.
I'm in the same boat. I'd probably give him like a 4 right now. Obviously, like Trey said, we talked about how our criticism will go up when they need to be playing their best ball late. But I will say this, and this was a big part of what Doc did and said in the introductory press conference, was that this team needs to find an identity, and I have yet to see it so far through 5 games. I don't know what this team is doing. I don't know if you find that after you make a move, but it's not like you're bringing in some big piece that can change an identity. So that's kind of what I'm looking for within these, like you said, these next 7 games when they're playing teams that they should beat. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of just the now, and we'll worry about the future when it gets there, and we'll be harsher in criticism in the future. But I would say probably like a 4. I'm not too worried. I think that eventually this team will get a couple wins under their belt that'll really, really get them going.
I agree with that assessment. John Hassel is in the chat, and John seems to be very, upset about what's going on with the Bucks. Essentially saying they're done. He says Phoenix isn't that great. Bucks have guys that are D3 college players. Like, okay, what are we talking about here? Especially Beasley. Bucks are finished. So again, this is just. I get that you're frustrated right now, and I will encourage you to pick yourself up a little bit. But I mean, just D3 players. Like, what are we talking? Malik Beasley is on a minimum contract and shooting lights out. He got upset. He says that what the F? Beasley's 17 shots. There was nobody playing. Like, why are you upset? This was a night that I wish Bobby Porter should have been taking 17 shots. So I didn't have any problem with Beasley taking 17 shots tonight on a night where you have so many guys out of the lineup. So no, I didn't have a problem saying the season is done. You can't play guys like Beasley and Pat. You could have Jordan on this team. It wouldn't matter. Can't have holes that big again. So Pat Connaughton, again, I think the hope is going to be that he's no longer on a basketball team in a couple days here. But yeah, I just won't go that far. I think you're just a little bit negative Nancy out here on that. I won't take it that far.
It's late.
It's late. Yeah, irritable, middle of the night. Get you some Stella Rosa, and you'll be all right. What you got over there, Chris? You got the IPA?
Yeah, I got this is the Yellow Springs Brewery. This is some Dayton, Ohio stuff. So we kind of tone it down a little bit. We relax on the Bucks after dark type time.
Yeah. So yeah, we're relaxing. We're hanging out here. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. A 114-106 loss tonight to the Phoenix Suns. And so you said that you didn't see the Bucks have an identity. I will say this. I will say they do seem like tonight. I thought they played very physical. I tell you, it's been a 1-4 road trip, but I tell you, I have been happy with the defensive effort. There have been times like our offense has kind of played in a black hole, and they kind of have had too many lulls. But defensively, do you think that the Bucks have rounded a bit of a corner on the defensive side of the ball? Especially again, you look at that Dallas game that took place, and then it was. I'm trying to excuse Portland as like a if you could have won the Portland game, I'd have felt much better about the trip. But the Utah game was just very tough. And again, Utah beat tonight. They beat a Timberwolves team. They came back and beat. I think they beat the no. They beat OKC tonight. Is that right? I think they beat
Somebody.
OKC tonight. What'd you say?
I said they beat somebody.
Yeah, they beat somebody
they beat
good.
OKC. Yeah.
Yeah, OKC is a very good
Mm-hmm.
basketball team. So and the Bucks took them and had them. Should have won that basketball game and lost in the fourth quarter. Again, I'm not excusing it, but I'm just saying that was a tough scheduling moment. No excuses. The Bucks got to win that game. But I can look and say, okay, I can give you a break here. Doc Rivers knew. I do think defensively things have picked up. The Bucks are on hopefully the plus side. And again, if they can take that momentum, what this offense can do. You just need consistency from Damian Lillard. And once you have that, you can couple those things together, add in with a couple trades and what you may see. I think the sky is the limit for this basketball team. And again, you don't have to be playing your best basketball right now. You do have to be in a little bit's time. But I think, all that John Hassel and some of the people here talking about, the Bucks season is finished and whatnot. I have a sneaky feeling if the Bucks go on a stretch, and they will, where they win 8 of 10, 9 of 10, they're going to have that stretch that comes. They're going to 4 or 5. They're going to have that stretch, and people are going to be right back on the train. Like, okay, this team's ready to go.
Yeah, I think and to your point earlier, I think they've definitely turned a new leaf on the defensive end of the ball. And yeah, if you get these guys back and healthy and you have them all going and Dame is shooting better than 12% from three or whatever it was, then you're going to still win basketball games. I just think that there's no identity in the sense that the inconsistency is the problem, right? Like, you don't know what you're getting with this Bucks team, even if you're playing good defense. Like tonight, I felt that they didn't capitalize off of turnovers as much as they should have. And, good defense, but if you can't create points off of that, like they got outscored in points off of turnovers 23-16. And that you have one of the best transition players of all time. And there's no reason there should be confusion on who's cutting to the rim or where you're going with the ball in transition after a stop. So, yeah, man, I just think that defensively they are finding a better identity there, but as a whole, I think it's a little inconsistent. But yeah, there's no reason for me to think that this team can't figure it out within themselves after the All-Star break. Like, I think you obviously have the talent, so let the team figure it out around that talent, and I think that they'll figure it out come after All-Star break.
Swerve is a Bucks hater. He's a Miami Heat fan, but he came into the Twitter chat and said blown leads, the Doc Rivers effect. So the haters are out. And the haters are out. It is what it is. You got to deal with them. Let's read a couple of things from the Twitter right here. At He Manson says, if Pat is still on this team after Thursday, I'm going to need to up my antidepressants. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, and we're gonna get into the trades. Yeah, I think that Pat. I don't think Pat's on this basketball team. He is my guy. I'm 100% saying no. Like he's done. He's there's no. I don't see. I just don't see any way that he's back on this basketball team come trade deadline. I just don't. I don't see a way he survives. I really don't see a way he survives. At gimme underscore a underscore Bucks says Bucks fans are okay with losing as long as we look good doing it. Shaking my head. I think that's funny to me because you have seen, and again, there are so many. Because here's the thing: a lot of people start going for validation, and when you scream from the mountaintops, fire Griff, fire Griff, fire Griff, fire Griff. Well, when you fire the coach and Doc Rivers comes in and is now 1-4, and the Bucks don't look as good as they did, And I'm impartial because I keep telling you from the beginning, my position was always if it's Adrian Griffin, if it's Doc Rivers, whoever, they're going to need time. This thing's going to take us. That's always been my position. So I know that's going to happen with Doc Rivers too. But it's interesting that when the people who scream, oh, this team is so much better, when you put Doc Rivers, this team's going to be so much better, and you start losing, then it becomes the excuses of, well, you look at the schedule, and oh, well, the defense looks better. Oh, well, this looks better, and it's like, dog, you're losing. You lost the team. You lost to Portland to a Portland team you had no business losing to. You lost to Utah Jazz. You gave up four. You can excuse that all you want. You gave up 40 points in the fourth quarter, and you scored 13. Like, you can make up all these excuses. Like, so again, but I'm not even upset at it. I'm just saying it's an interesting point that you start to see people that had the agendas. Like, if let me tell you, if Adrian Griffin had lost to Portland and then lost to and lost to Utah, back to backs wouldn't matter. It would have been, see, I told you, pitchforks, tiki torches. That's what would have happened. That's what was happening. So you don't take you. So it is funny to me that you don't see that same type of attitude, and somehow 1-4 is celebrated instead of what was taking place back during age group. But again, I think the team is in a fine position. But again, I just think it's interesting that the group that was screaming the loudest has now found patience all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I talked about this when AG was the head coach. Is that this is the NBA. Like, teams, you're not just gonna blow out every team every night. And I don't know why that was the expectation that was set for a team that also brought in a superstar and traded away a point guard that was a catalyst in the NBA Finals. So there was some adjustments there, but for them to be sitting at 30-13 was very good. Like that, I didn't think that was bad in any sense. And then also, winning close games against bad teams, but also getting up for the good teams when you beat a Celtics team by 40. There's no doubt in my mind that if this was the stretch that Adrian Griffin was able to coach, I think a lot better than 1-4. But that's besides the point. We got Doc now, and I think that they'll still end up figuring it out under Doc. But it's just telling that it's taken them longer to figure it out under Doc.
So a bit of news here on Khris Middleton. X-rays negative. Doc Rivers says X-rays negative on Khris. However, as PG97 points out, and Jim, I don't know how to say his name, from the Jim Orskrowski from the Journal Sentinel says he says that Khris Middleton did exit the arena in a walking boot and on crutches. So, but the X-rays were negative. My guess is that means Khris is probably going to be out couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, at minimum. That's my guess. If you're on boots and crutches, even though that means you probably have some type of low or high ankle sprain. Which again, he'll be back for playoffs, and he'll be back for the regular season. But I think that probably means he's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. At some point. So again, I'm not gonna say season's over. Bucks are cooked. I'm not going that far, but he's probably gonna be out right now. At Packer Force says it feels crummy. Vibes are horrible. Trades will mean more to get acclimated. Then All-Star break. Bucks might not get it going until March. And yeah, Packer Force, that's right. Like, that's what we're talking. The Bucks might not get it right. This thing might not start get rolling until March. But you're gonna need to see that 10 to 15 game stretch where the Bucks do look good. At Kane is back 4X says actually this is the best I've seen the defense all year. Would have won tonight healthy. Well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You can't do that. At Light Seraph says thank you Giannis for fighting through the pain. Mid needs to have a new nickname, Mr. Fragile. I know he won't get traded this season, but Horst needs to have a serious look at trading him in the offseason. Bench needs an overhaul. It's Horst's time now. And that's a great point to stop at right here, Chris. At King of Kings says that trade Khris now. Well, you can't trade him right now. But Chris, let's stop right there and let's talk about the All-Star break. Excuse me. Let's talk about the trade deadline. Going to be active with videos and whatnot, talking through, reacting to some of the trades that take place on Thursday. Obviously, we're very interested. We want to see what happens and how it impacts the Bucks, even from other teams' perspectives. So we'll be talking with you again. Make sure you subscribe, like, follow, all of that. Keep up with us and how we react to the trades that take place at the deadline. The best place for all of your news and everything is the Cream City crossover. We're gonna give you those genuine reactions where we're at with this. Chris King, where do you see the Bucks team? Again, some of the rumors are out, right? We talked about Dorian Finney-Smith. You talked about the Grant Williams. We've seen that rumor now. We've seen Andrew Wiggins to Milwaukee has started to pick up a lot of steam. What happens at this deadline? Like, what are you looking for? What needs to happen? We know some of the needs of this basketball team. You need a wing defender. That's the thing. But like when you look at it, look at the holes in this team. Could you use a wing defender? Yes. Could you use a backup point guard? Yes. Could you use another big instead of Bobby? Yes. Do you need some depth off the bench to help your bench to bolster that? Yeah, you need this team outside of their core starting group still needs things, or could use some things that could help out. What's the biggest issue? It's like I said, because if you think that Doc Rivers has turned the corner defense, maybe it's like, well, maybe we should continue to bolster the offense. Maybe we should, what does this basketball team need? Where do you think they go at the deadline?
So I've already seen some aggressiveness out of Jon Horst, which I love. Like, he wasn't just going to give up Bobby for Grant Williams. He wanted Josh Green. He wanted a guy who can come in and shoot and defend. So I love it, and the fact that they didn't want it, and he pulled out. So pause. He pulled out of that, and he's already looking elsewhere. So I love to see the aggressiveness, and that's something we knew Jon Horst would do coming in, is just be aggressive in it. And it seems like he's kind of still been able to ride the fact that Bobby Portis was important to a championship run, even though he's been not very good this season. So I love that, first off. Second off, the Andrew Wiggins thing is tough because he obviously was very important to the Golden State Warriors championship run a couple years ago. And so that is kind of intriguing. But this season, he hasn't really shown me much to think that he could come in. I mean, yeah, you get a guy that's probably pretty reliable no matter how you play him, if you start him or if you bring him off the bench. But what I really think this team needs, and I don't know if this has even been brought up at all, but I really think you could make a deal if Washington is willing to get a DeLon Wright, who would provide some guard depth and some defense at the guard spot, and then maybe you think about seeing what it takes to include a Daniel Gafford in there to get a backup big. So I would like that, but that's kind of wishful thinking because I haven't seen any smoke to that rumor. But that would be dope. That would be the perfect situation for this Bucks team. I also think that they shouldn't settle. I don't think that going after Dorian Finney-Smith was a big reach. I like that. I like that they were trying to at least pursue a guy who could really help this Bucks team. DeAndre Hunter, they've talked about. Haven't seen much out of that, but I would really like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I know. To your point, here's what I know about Jon Horst. Every year he goes out and tries to make the best deal possible. Mm-hmm. Like every single year, that's what he does. He's 100% going to do that. He's going to be active, and I think that's the thing. What I like is how aggressive I've heard about the Bucks at the deadline. They are very, very, very aggressive. They're going to make a move. And again, my prediction for the deadline is Pat's gone 100%. I said this I said this on Bucks and 60 the other night I said this on Bucks 60 the other night, Monday 67 on 97 through the game and 10-7 in the game out in Madison. But 100% Pat gone. I think that it's 50-50 on Bobby Portis because if there's a deal to be had that makes sense, Bobby's gonna be gone too, and I just don't. So the other thing I think that's really gonna happen, and I think Jon Horst is going to do, I think is the name out there that we haven't heard yet. That again, the Bucks been rumoring on a lot of. Mm-hmm. There's a name out there I think that we have not heard yet that's gonna end up in Milwaukee. We'll be like, wow, that's solid. Mm-hmm. I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is because I mean we've just seen Jon Horst kind of act like that, and that's kind
Yeah.
of the thing that he does. I don't want to see again. I like PJ Tucker. I don't want to see PJ Tucker using any of our assets to move off of PJ Tucker. But again, it sounds like Marjan is going to be involved in this too, potentially. And again, if you're not going to play Andre Jackson Jr., then you got to think about moving him as well. So that said, I don't know what's going to happen. I truly don't. I wish I had a better read, but my thing is it's very tough because the Bucks have been rumored on a lot of people. Like the Bucks have been rumored on Finney Smith. The Bucks have been rumored on Wiggins, who again, both of those guys. I mean, they fit the team. They fit the mold of what you want to do. You want to get a Wiggins and a Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney. They fit the role, the mold of what Bucks want to do. If I could have my best wish, I don't think this happens in a world unless somehow the Bulls just really valued Andre Jackson Jr. and Marjan Beauchamp. Could you get a Caruso? Could you get a Pat Williams? Back somehow. The money works if you were to do like a Pat Williams, Alex Caruso for Bobby, Connaughton, Marjan, Ajax, and that second round pick. I don't even know that's enough. I really don't. I mean, I don't know that I would do that if I was Chicago unless I just had a very high value on Marjan and Ajax. But I will also say the other thing that's been pretty big here that I think has been developing is we see, and again, as Bucks fans and people who watch the Bucks every night, we see the issues that the Bucks have with Bobby Portis, his lack of defense, him stopping the ball movement on offense. It sound from everything I've picked up from that I've been reading, that I've been seeing, that I've been hearing, it seems as if the rest of the league values Bobby Portis very highly. And to your point, Chris, that was one of the things. Well, yeah, that's why. Yeah, we're not going to do a one-to-one swap Grant Williams Bobby Portis. No, we're going to make sure that we're getting some more value out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Portis is valued very highly around the league as a big-time six man, as a guy that can be a bucket off the bench. He's 6'10", stretch four. On a lot of teams, he fits. So I do think, I just don't think he fits on Milwaukee. I think that time is run for him. Everything's run its course here. But I think you can get a lot. At first, I was kind of concerned what kind of value you could get with Bobby Portis because I thought people may see him the way that I kind of see him. It does not seem that way. It seems like the people in the NBA or league circles, they value Bobby Portis very high.
Well, yeah, and when you take a look at some of the teams that we could possibly be dealing with, they could use them in any part of where their season's at. Like they could really, like a Toronto could use them if we want to get Bruce Brown. No matter what, I mean, they've got a young core, but they could use him in the starting lineup. He could go in there and be a starter. A Chicago, they could use him. He could be a starting power forward. So yeah, I think he fits pretty much any team across the NBA to get real minutes and produce. It's just I just don't know where, like you said, I don't know where this thing's going. But normally, Jon Horst, we know from his track record, it could be a random name, and I'm not opposed to that. It could be a name that we haven't talked about for a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what they do. I'm glad that Bobby Portis' value is a lot higher than what we value as Bucks fans right now in this moment.
Yeah, I definitely look. I'm definitely excited about that, and I'm excited about Jon Horst. I trust Jon Horst, more than Doc Rivers, more than a bunch of guys that seem like my trust level in Jon Horst is high. At Pac Giannis says it's whatever. We look better now than before. The real worry is Chris. I wonder if this is a good question. I wonder if a more severe injury changes our trade deadline approach. Maybe we do look more for a DFS or Wiggins type of player. It's crazy. I didn't think of that until OPAC just said that. Do you think could this injury to Khris Middleton, if somebody said, if you were like, I'm really on the fence about trading Bobby Portis, I really want to hold on to him. If they went to Jon Horst and said, hey, it's probably gonna be 3-4 weeks now, you now have to deal with 3 to 4 weeks of no Khris Middleton, maybe longer. Does that maybe does that change the trajectory? Does that change the idea of, okay, maybe I was on the fence about trading Bobby. I really gotta go swing for the fences and get us up. Because that's the thing about the Bobby Portis trade is if you're not doing Bobby, it's gonna be something on the margins. Bobby Portis has to go out because he's the biggest salary you got. He makes $12 million. Pat makes $9 million as a throw-in. You've got, if you're going to get an impact player, if it's Wiggins, like I said, it's not going to be DeJounte Murray, but DeJounte Murray, Bruce Brown. If it's going to be somebody like that, Bobby's got to be gone. And so, do you think that's a great question? Do you think that the Khris injury could impact the thought process in the front office in Milwaukee?
I think 100% it does. And this is why, because you've said this before too, Trey. Bobby doesn't play like a big. So, in a sense, we wouldn't necessarily be losing big depth. So you deal him and you get stronger at the guard spot, at a perimeter defender spot, then you're not necessarily losing what you already had. It's just you're kind of filling in the holes, filling in the void of the guard and the wing spot instead of having another option to go to off the bench. Now, does that mean Giannis and Brook are going to have to carry a bigger load? Yes, but I think Yes, but I think that they can handle that, and they've showed that they can handle that. They have plenty of experience in this league. So yeah, 100%. If there is a bigger injury there with Khris, and not even the fact that there could be a bigger injury, the fact that he is an injury-prone player, and the fact that people are in our comments right now calling him Mr. Glass, like that speaks volumes that. Look, you're gonna have to load up on depth at the perimeter spot or at the guard spot because of all the superstars in the league that are guards, that are wings. Because we know that this front court can defend anybody, but not the backcourt. So
right. I agree with you. Duh 11 King says, I might be wrong, but I believe Giannis is currently having knee issues. Well, he has knee issues all the time. Well, I wonder, why do you say you think he's having knee issues? I mean, Giannis is probably the most efficient he's been in forever on a night like tonight where he didn't have the gravity of Dame or Khris Middleton or Brook Lopez. He didn't have any of that tonight. On a night like tonight where you would think he'd have to struggle to find his way, he still gives you 34, 10, and 6. Just shows you how good and how great Giannis is, where this was him by himself with a bunch, I don't want to say scrubs, but the C team from the Bucks, because you have all your guys out, and he still finds a way to put up basically his averages. So I hear you say you think he's having knee issues, but I mean tonight he looked as good. He's looked as good as he ever has. At Khris_Bucks31 says this game should have been over by halftime. Horrendous look for the quote unquote super team Suns that the Bucks fairly easily kept pace outside of a couple of stretches. At Mad Skills 789 says 1-4 now away, but 12-13 overall. Bucks are a horrible team when they play away from home. It's not a good sign. I can't disagree with you. They have not looked good on the road. That is true. I mean, that's just objectively they have not been good at home. I'm excuse me on the road. At Cloud Festy says worse than Griffin in making adjustments. Talking about Doc Rivers. And then Marvin YNWA says it doesn't really reflect on our play. We've been doing good. And then at _smooth says, all I know is Doc challenged the call, lost it along with one of two timeouts, then called our last timeout off of 2 minutes free throws. For the record, Smooth, he did not call that timeout. Jay Crowder called it. And I thought about that. I didn't know why Jay Crowder called it. I don't think that Doc Rivers was calling a timeout from half court. Maybe I missed it, and Doc Rivers was but I know Jay Crowder actually called the time. Like the ball was going out of bounds, and Jay and Pat had it and was about to fall out of bounds, and Jay called a timeout off that missed free throw. I remember thinking we only had one timeout left. Why would we use it there? But Jay Crowder motioned and called that timeout. I don't think Doc Rivers did. Then he said, then fails to inbound the ball at the 5-second violation. Got a 5-second violation. I agree. That was a terrible out of timeout. Turnover there, 100%. Then he said he wasted the last 2 timeouts for literally nothing. If Horst don't cook, I'ma start tweaking on my mama. So yeah, that might happen. And then at Ellis is ready says Bobby Portis Jr. was MIA tonight. Hell, every night. So again, just a lot of interesting comments tonight about the Bucks and what they think, what people think is going to happen about Doc Rivers and where the Bucks are right now. So again, we appreciate all of your comments, all of your thoughts. We're gonna go. Let's go to some game balls again. 114-106. The Suns win it. I'll ask you one more question, Chris, before we go to game balls. Is there anything else? Because again, we will have coverage 100% on the trade deadline that's coming up Thursday, and then we'll have obviously it's going to be a very interesting show Thursday night after the Bucks when the Bucks play the Minnesota Timberwolves. It sounds like Damian Lillard will be back, and it sounds like Khris Middleton will likely not be back. Do you have any final thoughts, final concerns on the trade deadline, or anything about the Bucks tonight, 114-106? Any final thoughts before we go to game balls and look around?
I would just say that don't be surprised no matter what the Bucks do. I mean, because we know Jon Horst has been so aggressive at trade deadlines in the past. And, I do feel like a lot of these DNPs, coaches' decisions, are telling. So just keep an eye out and, have your post notifications on because we may be doing some emergency podcasts if the Bucks make a big move within the near future.
I think you're right. I mean, I really do. I really think you're right. I think it's one of those things where you should expect the unexpected. I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, I think that is. I would heed that warning. Expect the unexpected with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I just would not be surprised if a name pops up that you did that was not on the radar previously. And I would be very. There's no. There is there. And I know I said earlier this season. I said there's no way the Bucks are going to fire Adrian Griffin. There is no way that the Bucks stand pat at the trade deadline. There is no way the Bucks stand pat at the trade. Like they will, like to the point where the Bucks will overpay and do something that may be a little bit, risky. I would encourage them to do that. They would do that over standing pat. There's no way this team sits in where they are right now. 114-106. Bucks lose to the Suns tonight. Game ball's going out. I'm gonna give out the game ball to Hollywood, to acting. That's what I'm gonna give my game ball to, because somehow again the Phoenix Suns find their way to the free throw line. Devin Booker just screams. I mean, it just screams as he's shooting. I don't get it. I don't get how he gets foul calls. Like he gets a better whistle than Kevin Durant. So I don't know how that, like when that shift happened, how it occurred, but he gets a better whistle by screaming at the top of his jump shot than Kevin Durant gets as an MVP of the NBA. So, and a Finals MVP. I don't understand it. But my game ball goes to acting coaches everywhere. Whoever Devin Booker's acting coach is, excellent job, because you will get an Academy Award for the things that he does during a basketball game.
Yeah, he be with the Kardashians all the time, so
Hey.
there you go. That's where it rubs off on. I would say I'm going to give it to Malik Beasley tonight. I know you say you don't like giving it to the Bucks when they lose, but I think him taking on a bigger role is nice, and we could just see what he could do with the bigger role. It's cool, but I also want to just point out the fact that this could be his last time in the starting lineup for the rest of the season. So
Could be.
So, I think that's kind of cool that he was able to, just put up 22. And then, if you go and get a guard or a wing defender, then he could provide a big spark off of the bench. Something we've been lacking, something we've really not had this season is somebody who can come off the bench and really light it up. We maybe thought we would get it from Jay Crowder. He hasn't really been that so far. Obviously, he had some injuries. I haven't really seen it. It seems like he's a step slow too. But yeah, I give it to Malik Beasley because we may not see him play 36 minutes ever again this season.
Well, Khris Middleton be out for a minute, so I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe he will keep his job and start lineup. What's interesting, and again, John Hassels in here trash talking Beasley. I tell people all the time, I don't think you understand how hard it is to play an NBA game and to get up 17 shots. Like just the fact that you're able to do that. And Chris, I know you watch a ton of basketball. Like technically what it takes to be that type of player. Like I know people think, you just go shoot the ball. But no, you're not just jacking up. Like to go think that you have the audacity to go get your shot that you like. I got a shot that I like, and I can go and I can find, because again, I know people don't think they play defense in the NBA. They do. But to be able to get your shot off, and a night like tonight, Beasley, and I was watching him, it was a lot of that was creation. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, a lot of times when Giannis and Dame are out there, he's just set shooting, getting open threes. Beasley took a couple of those, and hit
fading
a couple
away,
of those. Yeah,
off
fading away, off the screen, off the dribble, 100%. Yeah, so you saw that too. I was, again, it wasn't super efficient. He was 7 for 17, 6 of 14 from three, which again, 6 of 14 to 43% from three is not bad at all. It's pretty good. He's shooting on 40% from three. But the way he played tonight, you can just tell he's a heater. And a guy like that, off the bench, if that's where his role ends up, he could be a spark. But again, you want to see that. The two things I really want to see for his basketball team. And Green Ranger comes in and says that as Jon Hass says, give MarJon 17 shots, he'd be better. I'm telling you, I don't think MarJon is at a play. I don't think MarJon could get 17 shots up. That's what I'm telling you. I think MarJon would struggle to get up 17 good shots. Like, that's the thing about Beasley. If you watched him, like, I don't remember a shot that I was like, "Ooh, man, why did he take that?" Or how? Like I'm telling, like, Beasley's able to get up shots that weren't like getting blocked and people, all in his face. No, to be able to get your space and get shots, I'm telling you, it is a skill. I don't think MarJon has that. Green Ranger said, I think the Bucks will make a bad trade before they stand pat. Again, I wouldn't necessarily say bad, but I would say risky. Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised with that either. Not at all. Let's do a look around. Let's see what happened in the association tonight. I'm just super excited, Chris, because I think this trade deadline is going to be fun, and I'm ready to cover it and have some fun and see what the Bucks end up doing. Because this year more, I'd say this year more than any other year, it seems like you just know the Bucks need stuff. Like versus, you think you may have it. You think like every other year the Bucks, especially once they got Drew Holiday, like you thought, okay, when the Bucks got Drew Holiday in 2021. You had this feeling that they got what they needed. And you wanted Bogdanovich, and that didn't happen too. But you thought that they did what they needed to do in the offseason. And then you went and you got PJ Tucker. And it just took the Bucks to that next level. The Bucks don't feel like they're there yet, right? To where it's like using a piece takes you next level. The Bucks feel like they need a piece to get them to competing with Boston. So we'll see if they're able to do it. But I'm excited to see Jon Horst try and see what he does. 132-129, the Pacers beat the Rockets tonight. The Knicks continue their winning ways, 123-113 over the Grizzlies, which means that the Knicks are probably so the Bucks are now statistically in a tie with the Knicks at 5.5 back. Again, from Boston. So the Bucks are actually getting close to that 4 seed right now. The Heat win 121-95 over the Magic. The Mavericks won over the Nets tonight. Luka and Kyrie were pretty good. The TNT game before the Bucks. The Wolves lost to the Bulls. That was not a good loss. I think Kobe White had a big night for Chicago. And then the Utah Jazz beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 124-117. The Jazz now sit at 26-26. We'll close it out like this. Chris, I ask you, what do you think? Do you have a prediction for not just the Bucks, but for what do you think is gonna just bold prediction for the deadline on Thursday?
Yeah, in terms of okay, so obviously there was some. I tuned in late because I was on my Dayton Flyers postgame, but sure. They said that the Suns were kind of late coming out of the locker room and stuff like that, or whatever that was. Maybe they got Miles Bridges. Maybe they made that call, and I think he does a lot for them. I think he would be good for them, and not just providing the scoring, but the defense that group of just offensive players need. And Charlotte obviously is finding a guy in Brandon Miller that they can be comfortable building around, and so that they can move Miles Bridges, even though he's not old, but he's not young. So I think that they can be comfortable building around Brandon Miller. So I think that Miles Bridges to Phoenix may happen. And then, like you said, I do think Pat is gone. I think Pat, in any trade that we make, he's out of here because he's just his type of player, man. It's not sustainable, especially for what the Bucks are trying to do, and that's win a championship. He hasn't showed it off the bench. He didn't show it in the starting lineup tonight necessarily. He played a lot of minutes, didn't score the ball much, didn't shoot it much. So, I think he's gone. And then, like I said, and like you said, there will be a move made that you may not expect. So you don't I guess, wake up in the morning and see a notification on Twitter or see the move that the Bucks make and be surprised that it's a different name than all of these that have been
Yeah.
floating around.
Yep. No, I agree with that 100%. My prediction is that I believe an all NBA caliber player will be moved at the deadline. Don't know who it's going to be, but I think it's going to be some type of all NBA guy that gets, maybe it's a Draymond Green, maybe but we'll see kind of what happens. I think that the tough part about the deadline now is that with the way that I'm losing my train of thought. I can't remember what to say. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I see no, I lost. I'm just gonna let it go because I can't remember what it was. I just it's late. Stella Rosa hit me. I can't remember. If it comes back to me, I'll
what about like Jimmy Butler? Do you think the Heat move off of him? There's been people talking. I know it'd be dumb. I don't think they would do it either. But
I remember what I was gonna say now. No, I was gonna say that I think that the thing that makes the trade deadline different now is that it seems like everybody wants to be buyers a little bit, simply because of the way the NBA now has the play-in tournament, and so because of the play-in tournament, teams may be more reluctant to hold on to guys versus giving them up because they think, oh, well, we're gonna have a shot at getting into the dance. You saw what the Heat did last year. You saw what the Lakers did last year from the 7th spot and from the 8th spot, respectively. So, you have some of those bottom tier teams, those teams in the 11th and 10th and 9th who maybe historically would have been more willing to pass on, some of their players and to kind of give up and tank. They stay in it for a little bit longer past the deadline now. And so, again, another team like Atlanta who probably isn't going anywhere, but they're so hell-bent on, no, we can hold on to John T. Murray. We'll get something for him. I do have to address this comment because John Hassel says that PJ Tucker was the best midseason move in NBA history. I don't know about that. Horst can make a good move, but of course he let Dante go for literally nothing. That's not true. So yes, it is true that he let Dante DiVincenzo go for nothing, and he let him go for Serge Ibaka. But again, it somewhat makes sense because right now Dante DiVincenzo is making what? Does anybody know what his contract is? I'm gonna just look it up. Dante DiVincenzo.
He's getting paid. Yeah, he is getting paid.
He's getting paid. I'm gonna tell you what it is. He just signed a 4-year, $47 million contract. So he's making about $11 million a year. The Bucks were not paying Dante DiVincenzo that kind of money. So again, no. So I mean, yeah, like that would not have happened for the Bucks anyway. And mind you, Dante's been on like 2 different teams since he was traded. So it wasn't like he just left and all of a sudden, yes, is Dante DiVincenzo playing well right now in New York? Yes, he is. There's no question about it. He's playing some good basketball, and the Knicks are playing well. But Dante, again, he had to stop in Golden State. I think he had to stop somewhere.
Sacramento.
He had to stop Sacramento. Trash. He was trash in Sacramento. Yeah. He was trash in Golden State. So no, you're saying that now, but you would have been screaming about Dante DiVincenzo and how the Bucks paid Dante or whatever it was for the last 2 years for him to finally start to play well. So, yes, is he playing well now? Yes. But you would have gone through 2 years of trash Dante DiVincenzo to get to that point. And I don't think the Bucks, they didn't have the patience to do that. King of Kings says CP3 and Jonathan, I guess saying Kuminga for Dame. Yeah, Kuminga's not on the block, so that's not happening. And CP3 is hurt right now. And for Damian Lillard,
he's damaged goods. I will say this though. This could be another prediction. I wasn't thinking. Don't sleep. The Pacers may not be done. They have the assets in Buddy Hield, who has been a guy rumored in trades for it feels like the past 3 years.
Yeah.
They have Obi Toppin, who can go and if I feel like if the Bucks don't get Wiggins, that could be a nice swap. You give Buddy over there to Golden State or maybe Obi or both, and you get Andrew Wiggins, and that's a real force in Indiana. And you already have Ben Mathurin, who is your point guard depth or your guard depth. So if they look to shorten their roster, that's a thing to keep an eye on and a team to keep an eye on.
That's interesting. I could definitely see Indiana going for it. I definitely could. Very interesting because the Bucks have been rumored about Bruce Brown. I thought it was very interesting. The Pacers paid Bruce Brown like $23 million, whatever it was, and then and then literally shipped him out. I thought that was kind of crazy.
But he got a ring though, so he's right. He's probably content.
He did get a ring. He absolutely did get a ring. Okay, let's wrap it here. Again, really good. stuff tonight. Again, appreciate everybody for watching. Appreciate everybody for listening to the Cream City crossover. Again, stay with us. We will be back, obviously, Thursday night for the Timberwolves, but we're also going to be back at some point during the day, Thursday, with reactions to what happens at the deadline and what it all means for the Milwaukee Bucks. You can catch me as well on 97.3 The Game. I'm always on 9 to noon with John Kuhn in the mornings every Tuesday morning at around 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. So catch us there. And then, of course, Bucks in 60 every Monday night, 6 to 7 Central, 973 The Game, 1070 Madison, Wisconsin. And then on your T's and Q's every Saturday morning from 10 to noon. Catch us there on your T's and Q's. But again, we're not going to be on this Saturday due to Wisconsin Badgers coverage. So no on your T's and Q's this Saturday, but most Saturdays you can catch us there, and also at the iHeartRadio app on your T's and Q's. So let's again. The Bucks lose it tonight, a tough one. They dropped their fourth in 5 games. Some say the Bucks are reeling, but the deadline is on the way. 114-106. The Phoenix Suns get the victory. Any final words from you, Khris King?
Wow, this is going to be a fun week, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I always my interest just peaks up even a little more in the NBA when the trade deadline goes on, and guys that are getting their first look in new uniforms, maybe after All-Star break or maybe a game before All-Star break. So it's just fun, man. This is what the NBA is all about. Just it's entertainment, and it's a business at the end of the day. Don't get too attached to some players, and if your favorite player or guys that contended or helped with the title contending team, and they get let go, just know that Jon Horst has the best intentions for this Bucks team. So just I'm looking forward to it, and the content should be pumping. So get ready, throw your C's up, and get ready to tune in.
Throw the C's up. On before I forget, I almost forgot. Dayton Flyers post game. Dayton got a win tonight against St. Joe's, right? And so, and Khris King obviously had the post game. So if you're a Dayton Flyer, or if you're a Dayton Flyers fan, or if you know any Dayton Flyers fans, tell them to check this out. Again, appreciate all the subscriptions, subscribes, likes, follows, all of that. Do that at TCIIESQ. What's your Twitter handle?
DYT Khris King. It's Dayton-based Twitter. I'm getting comfortable, guys. I'm following after my leader right here, Trey Crosby III. I'm getting comfortable as the main host of my Dayton podcast. So it's fun. It's fun stuff. And if you like college basketball, then you may want to tune in. It's fun.
Absolutely, Khris King, one of the best, brightest college basketball minds in the country. I say, got the Atlantic 10, got the NCAA, and Khris King is doing it all. So again, we appreciate everybody for watching us tonight. Be back Thursday. Appreciate you again. John Hassel says great show again. Great job, King. Appreciate, like I said, you guys for watching. Want to appreciate our sponsors as well. The law office of Daily M. Johnson out in Madison, Wisconsin, 608-893-8370. Get at him for all of your criminal defense needs. From the guru, Trey Crosby III.
Khris King.
This has been a Cream City Media Group production. We'll see you Thursday. Don't take no wood nickels. Kurt.